So our Protestant brothers do some crazy stuff, but this one's really crazy. So a Hillsong pastor named Michael Gugamucci came out. This is like over 10 years ago. I think it was like 2008. He came out with this powerful worship song called Healer. A really good song. Really good Christian song. And what made it more powerful was he would come out on stage with no hair and no eyebrows, with an oxygen mask, with oxygen up his nose, with an oxygen tank attached to him, because he was dying of cancer. But the problem was he wasn't. The problem was 2 years later, he admits he made it all up. He never had cancer. He shaved his head, shaved his eyebrows, ordered an oxygen tank. I guess you can just order an oxygen tank, and told everybody he had cancer. Made hundreds of thousands of dollars on the song. Plus, his fans started a GoFundMe to pay for his cancer treatment that he wasn't getting. And so he's doing a new con, and I think my evangelical brothers are getting conned again, and they don't even realize it, and I'm going to expose that in a minute. But first, I want to tell young Catholics out there that might be getting bored with our church and wanting to go to these cool worship places, like Hillsong. I mean, they used to have a really cool pastor in New York City, Carl Lentz. He had to step down because this Muslim lady said she had like a 5-month-long affair with him, and he was married with kids. And it wasn't like this pastor just fell. I mean, King David fell. He seen, Bathsheba, and he fell. Sometimes good men just fall into traps. No, he pursued this woman. This woman said like he was hitting on her in a park, and he pursued her. And he would go to her house every day and drink whiskey and get drunk and have sex. I mean, then there was another woman came out and said he pursued her. He had like 5 affairs going on. His housekeeper, these Hillsong pastors all have housekeepers. They're treated like kings and royalty. His housekeeper said he turned him on. He turned her on the weed for the first time, and she got really stoned and had sex with him. I mean, these people act like they're rock stars, not pastors or churches. His driver recently came out and said he would have to drive him to all these ritzy, fancy nightclubs in Manhattan and wait outside 5-6 hours, and he would come out drunk and just berate him and just verbally abuse him on the ride home. So when he would travel, he would always have to have 2 drivers pick him up from the airport. And Carl Lentz said, yeah, this was just Hillsong practice. All the pastors, we would have 2 drivers because we couldn't stand around and wait for our luggage. So one guy would wait for the luggage. The other guy would drive him home. These guys are so pampered. Imagine you take a first-class flight someone else is paying for, and you don't even got to wait for your luggage. You have a driver that drives your luggage home, and you have a driver that drives you home while you're drinking champagne in the back of the seat of the car. So I'm telling this to my young Catholic brothers and sisters. These are the people that are leading these mega churches. Look at their fruit. Compare them to Pope Francis. Pope Francis, who washes literally nails down with a body full of arthritis where he could barely walk, and kneels down on his knees and washes the feet of homeless people, and then invites them into the Vatican and feeds them and lets them take showers. Pope Francis, when he was cardinal in Buenos Aires, there was a shortage of priests. Whenever he got a call that a parish needed a priest, he would go there for confessions, to do mass. I mean, he was a cardinal. This would be like a general in the Pentagon going to Iraq and going on the front lines with a private in the Marine Corps. And not only that, he would take public transportation. He didn't have 2 drivers. This is a cardinal of the Universal Catholic Church, the church that Jesus Christ himself established, the largest church in the world. He would get on public transportation, smelly buses with no air conditioning, and go into the worst ghettos in South America to serve the people. They didn't serve him like all these fancy evangelical pastors get served. Now, getting back to this scoundrel, Michael Gugiamucci. So he comes out 2 years later, admits it was all fake. He faked it. Now, honestly, I grew up in the inner city around a lot of con artists. And, I've even had close family members that could con your face right off your head. I've seen cons. I can usually tell a con artist. This guy has not repented of his ways, in my humble opinion. So he comes out and he admits all this. And then it's kind of weird. His father, who's a big pastor too, I don't think he's a Hillsong. I think he started his own church somewhere. He's a big pastor too. He came out and said that he's relieved, for 2 years they thought their son was dying. And I just don't get it. I got 5 kids. If one of my kids told me they had cancer, I'd be able to tell if they're faking. So either these families are so jacked up that they have no communication, they have no contact with each other. Like, what kind of family is that? Would you want to be pastored and led spiritually by a family like that, number one? Number two, I just still find it hard to believe. If he's going for chemotherapy, he's going for, his family didn't know. They claim no one knew. His family's friend, nobody knew is what they claim. And now he's pulling a new scam. He started a new charity. He said the reason, this was 2008, so just like a year ago, he comes out with a new charity. He says the reason he lied is because he was addicted to porn. And, the New York Post is making a funny comment that he's a born-again Christian, And the porn addiction is real. A lot of men deal with this. But to blame one sin on another sin to get sympathy is just kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. So he's saying his sin of pornography affected him physically. He would get physically ill where he couldn't go for work. He couldn't show up for work. It's like, yeah, you're working real hard. You play music and get paid millions of dollars. He's a worship pastor. These churches have like 20 different pastors. I got a church of 6,500, my parish. I got 2 priests. These churches with like 6,000 members, I'll have like 5 pastors and, worship pastor, executive pastor. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And they're all making a lot of money. So he said he had to cover up because he was always calling in to work. And they were wondering why you're always sick. He said, but the porn addiction was so bad that he was getting physically ill from it. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm not a doctor. If that, that to get you physically ill kind of sounds weird to me. I know they say it affects you like a drug, that you get physically addicted, does something to the brain waves in your brain. I don't know. But so now he has got a new charity. He's got a new ministry to minister to people to get them away from porn addiction. And of course, he's not working. He's just taking donations and, giving himself a nice salary. And even evangelicals that call them out on his lies, once he came out on the cancer lies, they thought that was messed up. They realized how jacked up that was. Even those people are buying into this porn addiction. They believe him. And so they're preaching, rightly so, on the dangers of pornography. And, they're using him as an example of what pornography can make you do, stupid things like fake cancer. But they're being conned. I don't think that's why he did it. I think he did it. It's the old reason. Always follow the money. The first financial scandal in the church was Judas Iscariot selling out our Lord for 30 pieces of silver. It always comes down to greed. These people just do it for the money. I'm calling BS on the porn thing. Maybe he is addicted to porn, but that's not why you make up a lie for 2 years you got cancer. I seen years ago when I was an evangelical, some of you guys will remember Mike Warnke, because he was a Christian. Supposedly he was an ex-Satanist, and he wrote a book, The Satan Seller, and he was a comedian. He was a really funny guy. So he would do like stand-up Christian comedy and then talk about his ministry, trying to stop Satanism. And he would get a lot of money. He had like $500,000 a year salary just for talking. And then when we found out his wife had a $250,000 salary. She lived in New York, but his other wife, they didn't know about each other in California, was also on the payroll, getting like a $300,000 a year salary. And of course, Mike Warnick, he fell, and everybody knows he's a fake, a phony, and a fraud. But I just want to tell my young Catholics, this is what's out there. If you belong to the Catholic Church, you literally belong to the church that can prove, the only church that can prove historically with evidence that Jesus Christ started the church in 33 AD when he told St. Peter, "You are the rock, and on this rock I will build my church, and I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and what you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and what you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." And we have an unbroken chain from St. Peter to Pope Francis. You can see it. It's there. You don't have to be a scholar to know this. And then when you look at your priest, even though he's an infallible man and he sins just like me and you, he's an apostolic man. His bishop that laid hands on him and ordained him was ordained by a bishop who was ordained by a bishop who was ordained by a bishop that can link and prove that he was ordained by an apostle. We have apostolic succession. So next time you're in a Catholic church, think about this world around you. Nothing is certain. Nothing is sure. But our church is certain. Our church is sure because Jesus Christ, in those verses I just read, Matthew 16, 18, and 19, also said that the gates of hell will not prevail against my church. There's not one institution that's been around as long as the Catholic Church. The oldest Protestant church, as my guest Steve Ray said on my show, is in diapers compared to the Catholic Church. The oldest governments are babies compared to the Catholic Church. Yes, the church is not perfect, but the perfect one is our leader, and he promised to keep our church, protect our church, keep our doctrines free of error, and he has for 2,000 years, and he will till the time he returns. So stay Catholic and happy Easter.